Gladiators get their first win on the board, and the Warlords show that they are here to play. Let's talk ball.
We're talking baseball, Antonis was Zapata. We're talking baseball, Antonis was Zapata.
It's week 4 in the All-Star Baseball Classic. I'm Sean McCauley. I'm going to take you through all the winners and losers this week. Let's jump into our first game. We've got the Renaissance Runners at the Imperial Gladiators playing at Castillo Arena. Now, this is two really defensive teams, both needing a win. The Gladiators looking for their first win of the season. The Runners trying to keep a little bit of momentum going after last week. Gladiators look like they're getting off to a really good start on this one. Tiberius taking out runners quickly and efficiently, but the Runners, they get two nice at-bats. We get Bardi sending one over the wall for a 2-run homer in the second. The Runners really keeping that momentum going. It's a little bit inconsistent, but like I said last week, they needed to get a win here on the road, and this Gladiators team is a perfect team to take that out on. Unfortunately for them, it doesn't last long. Caesar punches one over center in the second, gets the Gladiators on the board, and then another one over the wall to left field to even up the game. DiBondone looks like he was struggling a little bit. I really wonder if he was carrying an injury coming into this one, because he wasn't looking quite himself. If we jump ahead in this one to the 5th inning, we see Tiberius start throwing some really nice fastballs. The Runners have no answer for this. We get Aurelius playing a phenomenal game at shortstop. If only this team could get some more runs on the board, because defensively, they really started to play in this game. Tiberius was looking the best he's looked so far this season. I was really impressed with his performance in this game. There's still a few things to figure out, though. Da Vinci gets a home run in the 6th. They make a really good decision here as well, the Runners. They bring in Ike in the 6th. He gets away with a couple of bad pitches early, which that's unusual for him. He gets absolutely melted by a ball to the stomach from Caesar. He's on the ground for a while too. He does walk off the field. Hopefully he's okay, but it looked pretty nasty. Diocletian comes in the 7th for Tiberius, has a really good performance in this game as well. We see Bosch come in, get his first innings of the season after that pretty nasty injury to Ike. Nice to see him throw a few pitches, but clearly he's a little green still. Hits a batter, lets a run go by him on a cheap single. This one's our first game of the season to go to extra innings. That brings Aurelian in for the Gladiators, and it's a tight fought game in the 11th. A pretty big mistake from Facilio, who looks like he loses sight of the ball in the outfield. Maybe he thinks it's gone for a homer. It bounces off the wall. The Gladiators manage to get a runner home. They take their first win of the season. Gladiators win 6-5. This one was really, really back and forth. I think if Ike doesn't get hit by that ball, the Runners might win this one. So really unfortunate for them that Bosch couldn't keep it together for them. And like I said, Vecchilio losing that ball in the outfield, really disappointing. We're going to go to an early player profile this week. We're going to look at Tiberius. So he was a Roman emperor from AD 14 until 37. Succeeded his stepfather Augustus, the first Roman emperor. He was Rome's capable but reluctant second emperor, a successful military general who secured borders but grew increasingly paranoid and tyrannical, withdrawing to Capri and relying on favorites like Sejanus, leading to treason trials and a reputation for cruelty, marking a transition from republic to empire marked by stability but rising fear. Tiberius cemented the imperial system, but he left a really controversial legacy. His death in 37 AD was met with public relief, but it set a precedent for harsher rule by later emperors. But since joining the Gladiators, he's really struggled to settle in. He's given up 8 home runs in just 20 innings. He has an ERA of 6.41. It's no wonder the Gladiators have really struggled this season so far. Really good to see them pick up a win today, but I think Tiberius needs a little bit more time. My advice to him, get out of the box, get out onto the field. This guy's a real scholar of the game, but he needs to start narrowing down that arsenal. It's too wide. He can't play that many pitches. You just actually need to get out there and be throwing some stuff. Let's get into Tuesday's game. We've got Slammers at the Vanguards at Whacker's Wheel. I think it really played into Slammer's favour that this park is indoors. That weather was not looking good out there. It certainly evened out the playing field for them, coming up against a pretty tough Vanguards team. Thales coming into this game with a couple of nasty blisters he picked up in training. It likely says he's been working really hard during the week, but I reckon that was pretty uncomfortable for him. I mean, saying that, he comes out the gate looking really, really good. Gives up a couple of singles, but nothing crazy. Zeno helps him out a lot. He's looking as good as ever in center field. The infield for the Slammers, looking a little bit slow early on. Gave up a couple of easy plays they probably shouldn't have. Unfortunately, whether it's due to his blisters or just another bad performance, Thales gets taken out in the second inning. I honestly would be surprised to see him starting next week. I just don't think he's at the level that we expected him to be. On paper, this is an incredible pitcher. He's just not shown it actually on the field. My problem is, who are you putting in instead? If he's taken out, Empedocles could maybe tackle a few innings, but I'm not trusting him to take the long game. We haven't seen Democritus yet, and Heraclitus, he looked terrible in his only outing of the season. They've got some real problems, and I actually don't know how they fix it. But Heraclitus is the one they choose to come in for Thales, and he looked a little bit better than last time. Still allows a home run for Malcolm X in the third, and undoes the decent work put in by the Slammers in the second to tie up the game. It's at least something for the Slammers to be pleased about, however, that their offensive performance in this game was a lot stronger. So there's some things they can take away. They definitely looked a little bit hesitant between the bases. I reckon they could have made a bit more of that, but speed is certainly going to be an issue for them. So consistency at the plate, some long drives into the outfield needed to be the game winners for them here, really. It wasn't enough. Empedocles comes in for the Slammers in the fifth. We just don't see the speed and the urgency required to get the Vanguards out. And this week, we didn't see a particularly strong performance from the Vanguards, so this was really one for the Slammers to take something out of it. But the Vanguards, they take runs where they need to. They never really look under any pressure. It ended up being a really straightforward game for them in the end. They weren't particularly good, nor were they particularly bad, but rather the Slammers just weren't good enough to take anything from it. They didn't take the wins where they needed them. Marshall comes in for Anthony top of the eighth, makes things really difficult for the Vanguards in the ninth. Truth replaces him. It's a great decision against Plato. He pops it up. The Vanguards manage a double play, gets them out of this one. That could have been tricky at the end for them. Vanguards win this one 5-2. Next game, Commanders at Syndicate. We go to Battery Bay. So for Wednesday's game, we're back to Battery Bay. Kepler still starting for the Syndicate against the in-form Commanders. That's a surprising decision. I talked about it last week. I'm glad he's getting another opportunity. I just don't think he's been at the level. But he comes out this week. He's looking to keep his spot in the team. He manages to keep them in check early on. Einstein actually really helping on first to prevent those hits coming in. So he's looking a little bit better than he has done. Kepler's looking a little bit better than he has done. They look a little bit more confident. They've clearly done some work during the week. I like the way they start this game. But I also thought Bush looked pretty good. Maybe not as good as he's looked so far this season. Still a really strong pitcher. One of the best in the league. There's no doubt. He's not letting too much go the way of the Syndicate in this one. So both pitchers having a really good day out there. They're leaving it to the offense to make the most of the small mistakes. Edison having a nice performance at the plate. Tesla having a good day out there too. I couldn't say the same for the Commanders though. Across the board, they were finding it difficult to get anything out of Kepler, which was unusual. The Commanders have been so strong this season. The Syndicate have not been very good. The Syndicate found a weakness and punched a hole in it. This was really promising for them. 3 runs in the fourth, and you can really see the pressure mounting for Bush the first time this season. He's looked very, very good, but in this game, it was the first sign of weakness, and they took advantage. We see Grant come in for Bush at the bottom of the fifth in an attempt to recover it, but it's on the other side of the ball that the Commanders make a big play. We see a 3-run homer in the sixth. We see another one in the sixth after him. Faraday comes in for Kepler for the Syndicate, who starts to settle this game down again. Carl Sagan comes in for the Syndicate, top of the eighth. Seemed more like a stamina substitute than anything else. Faraday was actually having a really good game, but maybe just doesn't have that number of pitches in his arm. He hasn't played that much this year. Eisenhower comes in for the Commanders to finish it off. Nothing special to say about his performance, but a good closer for them. I think if he can stay on form, he's going to be a really good one just to throw a few pitches, get a couple of outs at the end of a game. I liked the way he played, but yeah, we haven't seen enough of him to really talk about it. I think it was really unlucky for the Syndicate to lose this one in the way they did. I thought they put on a hell of a show, a really great performance from the whole team. If they can keep the momentum going, I can see them taking out some of the big teams as the season progresses, but those home runs in the sixth, it just killed them. The Commanders win 5-3. This was a big game this week. Flushers at Warlords. Should have been easy for the Flushers. Would have expected them to come out and take this one. Perron, has a pretty rough start in this, but gets out of a bad inning in the first without letting any runs up. Comparing that to Bonaparte, he looks as good as ever. Him and Bush, probably my two favourite pitchers in the league right now, both really looking fantastic. The Flushers as a team, they all just look great. They're always on form. They look brilliant. They hit anything that Perron throws at them, and they're happy to grind down the Warlords with singles. They pick up on the mistakes. They steal bases. They just look like a really, really polished team, and nobody seemed to have an answer for them so far in this season. On the road or at home, this is the team to beat. Antonescu surprises everyone with a home run into the left that gives the Warlords the lead, though, an unusual mistake for Bonaparte. And then Hideki Tojo gets a 3-run homer in the third. Suddenly, we've got one of the worst teams in the league, absolutely dominating one of the best teams in the league. I don't think anyone saw this coming. The Flushers respond. They put Charlemagne in the fourth. Should be a sure bet. He's the best reliever of the league right now, stats-wise. He's outplaying some of the starters as well. If anyone's going to save the Flushers from an absolute blowout, it's going to be this guy. But I was really surprised to see Videla coming in for Perron in the fifth. Like, we know it's their strategy. We know that Perron doesn't necessarily have the longevity of some of the other starters in the league, but he's having a really good game. Like, I might just let him go one more inning, see how he handles it. Like, why fix something that's not broken? Try and stretch him a little bit. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Antonescu's having the game of his life. Trujillo gets one over the wall in the same inning. Charlemagne giving up his first runs of the year. Pretty phenomenal to watch the Warlords just picking the Flushers apart. A totally different team from what we've seen so far. The Flushers bring in Teresa for Charlemagne in the sixth, and it takes until the seventh for the Flushers to get some points on the board with a 2-run homer that sees Pinochet come in for Videla. Lorworth comes in for Teresa at the end of the eighth after she gives up a 3-run homer, but it does not matter. The Warlords put another one over the wall. They make it 14-2. The Warlords on an absolute tear in this game. They're showing the whole league they are here to play. This was a massive statement to make. The Flushers had nothing to respond. This sort of performance really opens up this league. A 14-2 win for the Warlords. Absolutely huge over an incredible team that the Flushers have right now. Let's go to Nordics at Crushers. We're at Colonial Plaza, under the lights, a night game at Colonial Plaza. This is two big hitting teams who also concede a lot of runs. So we're expecting a high-scoring game. Who's going to out-hit the other team, basically? That's what we're expecting. Polo off to a really bad start with a 2-run homer going the way of the Nordics in the first. This is what we're expecting to see out of this, okay? I really like Polo as a pitcher, but when he lets the mistakes go, they are always big. It's clawed back in the next inning with a couple of nice hits, and then DeGama puts them in the lead in the third inning. You can see the frustration on Fairhair right after that. It really set his ass on fire. His time between pitches went down. He narrowed his rotation. It was clear he was trying to just get out of that inning. This whole game was back and forth. After the Nordics get another 2-run homer in the fourth, they take the lead again. Hudson comes in top of the fourth, hoping that his four-seam can cause some issues for the Nordics, but very quickly they take advantage of a miscue from the catcher to sneak another run home. Drigvassen takes over the Nordics in the fourth after a pretty tough inning for the Nordics. The pendulum swings back the other way. The Crushers take back the lead, making it 6-5. A 3-run homer for Forkbeard in the 5th returns the lead to the Nordics. The Crushers respond with a 2-run homer to tie it back up, and then another 2-run homer in the same inning. That's really a swinging point for this game. This is where it all changes. Tryggvason starts to lose complete control of the game. This is the point where the Crushers start to look like a team we expect them to be. Cook comes in to pitch in the 6th, and the outfield is in form. The Nordics start stretching between the bases, trying to get a little bit more out of their runners. They just don't quite have it in them. They don't have the speed. They don't have the fitness. So Skylar Grimson takes over in the 6th, and I don't really like that sub. I don't like what he's trying to do. I don't like the pitches he's throwing. I feel like he's lucky to get out of that inning unscathed. I would have brought Eric's daughter in a little bit earlier. She plays the last pitch for the Nordics. Nice for her to get one out on the board. Nunez plays the 9th for the Crushers. This was definitely a big game for both of these teams and a really high-scoring game too. Lots of fun to watch. Maybe not the best defensive performance, but if you like high-scoring games, lots of home runs, this one was a real blast. The Crushers win it 11-8. All right, we've got guillotines at the Red Scares at Parque Jardinero. Both teams coming out strong in this game. Two really aggressive styles of play, but differing approaches to it. The Reds looking for big hits, the Guillotines trying to get between the bases. It was really fun to watch these two teams go at it, and two good pitching performances from the starters too. Luxembourg coming out here silencing the critics in the outfield. Even though she couldn't quite match last week's performance at the plate, Castro surprised everyone with a solo home run in the 4th too. The Reds looking really, really good. They are a hard team to play against, particularly at home. Pancho Villa, though, comes back into form with a big 2-run homer to left field to light up the scoreboard in the 4th. Probably the first mistake from Marks in this matchup. Doesn't make any more, but he gets subbed out for King in the 6th. Another informed pitcher having a really good afternoon. We've got two top teams playing at their best. It's the best overall team play I've seen from the Reds so far. I was really pleased to see the progress this team's made in a really short space of time. Amaru comes in for Forks in the 8th. The Guillotines start to feel a little bit of pressure mounting, hoping that a switch to a lefty can get him out of these late innings. It doesn't work out, though, and I don't believe it's Amaru's fault. Like, he does his job well. The Reds are just a little bit too good at this stage and know how to close out big games. The Guillotines getting underneath too many balls late on. They make it really easy for the Reds to manage. But you can never count them out. The Guillotines, they mount a comeback. Pol Pot comes in the 9th inning to try and see it out. The Reds can't respond in the bottom. We go to extra innings for the second time this week. This is where the Reds succumb to the pressure and they fall apart. I don't think they were expecting to go to extra innings. I don't think they were expecting to play this long of a game. I don't think they expected, when they were up in this game, to end up going to extra innings, and I don't think they knew how to respond. They succumb to the pressure. They make some big mistakes. Pot makes a few poor calls too. The Guillotines end up winning this one 7-4. Really good comeback from them. The Guillotines are going to be one to watch this year. Huge game on a Saturday. Really fun to watch. Let's go down the table. So Potomac's still 4 wins, 0 losses at the top of the table. The Virtuous Vanguards end up 3-1 after that win. Royal Flushers in 3rd after that loss, 3-1. The Guillotine Swingers climb up to 4th after that win against the Reds, and the Red Scares drop to 5th, 2-2. Compass Crushers in 6th place, 2-2. The Nordics also on 2-2 in 7th. The Warlords climbing back up the table here with that huge win. They are 2-2 in 8th place with a run difference of -4, really clawing that one back. Renaissance Runners in 9th, 1-3. Spikes Syndicate in 10th. Imperial Gladiators after that win for them this week in 11th. They're 1-3. And the Socratic Slammers still propping up the table, 0-4 with a -19 run difference. It's really not looking good for them. All right, predictions for week 5. Renaissance Runners I think they pull out a win at home. They really, really need it. I think if they don't get a win here, you go 1-4, it's going to start getting hard to claw this back. I think they need to get the win at home. I think the Gladiators will also put on another win after the performance this week. I think the Warlords keep their run of form. They'll win away. I think they looked so good. I don't see them losing this game. The Potomac's, they're too good. They're going 5-0. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, but the Potomac's are going to go 5-0. They're going to be top of the league, and they're going to start building a bit of a gap. Flushers will come back from next week. They'll win against the Reds. The Reds struggled late game. I think it'll be a big knock to their confidence. The Flushers, I think, will be back in form. I think they'll win, and I think they need to keep the Potomac's within range. I think if the Potomac's start to build a lead, start to get a gap, it's going to be hard to come back from, even this early in the season. And the Guillotines, I think, will win against the Nordics. They just look too good. They work too hard. They're too solid of a team. I think they'll beat the Nordics pretty easily. I don't think it'll be a difficult one for them. All right, that is it for this week. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you next week.